She's taken Broadway and the silver screen by storm, grabbing the nation's attention with her breakout role as Loretta in the original Broadway production of Dreamgirls. That role led to a film career that has included featured appearances in Waiting to Exhale, What Women Want, and Crash. After spending some time in television series like Boston Public, Grey's Anatomy, and Eli Stone, she lit up the silver screen once again in 2010 in Tyler Perry's For Colored Girls, and the roles just keep coming. Hello, I'm Ernie Manouse. Coming up on Interviews, our conversation with five-time NAACP Image Award-winning actress Loretta Devine. What do you think is the key to longevity in this career?
Oh my goodness. I guess loving it makes all the difference in the world. Feeling committed to it, an obligation to do it in some kind of way for some reason that you can't even identify.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Something I've seen that you've said is that when you work in this career, a lot of people just take things for granted, and they think they have their break and they just are there. But that the key for you in a lot of ways is hard work, knowing your craft, being there where you should be there, really being a committed, serious worker.
Yeah, I call myself a working actress, and I've really been favored or blessed or lucky. There are all kind of words for it when you work in this industry because it's so unpredictable. But a lot of it has to do with, I think, being on point. And, you know, people ask me, do you still audition? You've been around so long, you have to audition. And if you want to do it, sometimes you do have to go in when you feel like you shouldn't have to go in and you know, and compete for the job. Some things are just given to you, but most times you do have to go in, and I still have to go in and compete.
Does that surprise you, though? I mean, you can just type your name into YouTube and see a bunch of things you have done. Why is it?
Because people have to know what kind of chemistry they have with you. I think they will have to know whether or not it's a good mix, or some people just take for granted, oh, I like her, this will be great, and then they hire you and it's like a Nightmare on Elm Street. So you don't want that to be true. You know. So, and sometimes they're first-time directors, they're brand new to it, and they want to go through the entire process and feel how it feels to pick and choose and all of that. And so if you have empathy for that, you go, well, it's to their benefit that they see me, but it's their loss if they don't pick me. So that's what I always say.
Is there a point in your career where you can say, I have made it, and you don't worry about the next job, or is that still there for you?
I haven't gotten there yet. I don't know when you get there. Well, you know, I've always been a character actress, and that's like the one that's real close to the front but still in the background. So even when I work in ensembles, I always feel like I'm working to someone else's advantage. So I guess if I started doing leads in movies, I would probably go, finally I've arrived at this, you know, or a show that was my show. I probably would feel like, oh my God, this is the big one.
Yeah, take me all the way back when it started for you. When was the first moment you knew this is what you wanted to do?
I started out wanting to be a singer. I had sung in church from the time I was very little, and I always wanted to sing, but I don't know whether it had to do with a scholarship or what. I ended up in acting, in theater, and I just always continued in that. But because I've been able to sing, I was afforded things like Dreamgirls and Boston Public, and a lot of Eli Stone. A lot of the work I've gotten has included, for some reason, singing at some point. So it all works out. But I started out singing in church. I did plays in high school, and ever since I can remember, it seemed like I was performing on some kind of level.
Never recorded an album, correct?
No, except I have Beautiful on iTunes is my first single that I released myself. So everybody go get it. It's on iTunes, just 99 cents. So I'm excited about that. But I know I've never released an album of my own.
Why? You would think with the career you've had, somebody would have said, come on, Loretta.
I can remember in the early years trying to do that. I tried really hard, but at that time everything was categorized. If you were Broadway actor, you couldn't do this. If you were this, you couldn't do that. So everything has changed now. Everybody's in everybody's lane now. As they say, all the models are acting, all the actors are modeling, everybody's complaining about so-and-so is an actress. Why does she need to do Revlon? So, and why is she selling perfume? But now that's the new trend, is to do everything. You do a perfume line, a clothes line.
I know you had said somewhere that when people ask you advice about how to get into the business, what you say is, well, the business has changed from when you started it.
Yeah, I don't know what they do now to get. Well, today now, if you become popular on one of the reality shows, it's a great end to the business is to get on a reality show or to audition for something like American Idol or be one of the housewives of LA, of Houston or wherever. That you can become famous instantly.
Take me back to when fame hit you, and I would say Dreamgirls, big start for somebody early in a career to hit a show like that. How did that come about?
It's amazing. Dreamgirls came out of, it started out as 4-week workshops each week, 6 weeks. Each workshop was 6 weeks long. It took about 3 years to create before it went to out of town tryouts, and then I auditioned. I went to a cattle call for that. Is how I got the part. I got a chance to create the part, but once the part was landed, then we had to keep trying to sell it until finally Tom Mayan was able to sell the idea to Michael Bennett. But before he could get Michael Bennett to back it, we had done all these little things where 3 or 4 of us would go in and sing some of the ideas they had to different people who said they would invest money in it, and it would fall through, and we would keep trying until finally Michael Bennett picked it up, and we went to a studio called 890, which is down in one of the Soho parts of New York, and that's where we created it for those 4 workshop periods of 6 weeks each, and it came out of that.
Yeah. What I find amazing about the show is that here's a show that you guys worked so hard to get somebody interested in it.
Right.
And then it takes off and becomes like this iconic Broadway show, and then the film. Just an amazing story that show has had.
The show has an amazing history to it, I think, that no one really knows about. I think Michael Bennett was so disappointed by some of the things that happened. He had worked so hard on that show. He created a new way of even doing Broadway, in that it was like Raiders of the Lost Ark, and in that the show never stopped moving. There was always something spinning and turning, and the girls kept moving for the entire 2 hours. We were doing things like costume changes in front of the audience where they didn't know how the gowns, oh my God, she has a gown on now, and they didn't know how it happened. He did all these incredible things, and then 9 beat him out for the Tony that year, and I think he was devastated. I still have his little plaque and everything because he gave it to. So there were so many disappointments connected to that project.
To just mention something back what you were talking about and how unique it was, that I read at the time that it was like a film. The first time you had presented it had scenes, and I'd also read somewhere that once the show started, you folks had to be in place because you couldn't stop the scenery. It was all computerized. That's on right. Early track stuff.
I got hit in the head so many times by if the flats were down, if Cheryl Lee didn't move out, then I wouldn't get out in time. I used to say, if you don't move, I will kill you. They gave me a hard hat one year as a gift because I had been hit so many times. I think that's why my memory's so bad. I make up my memories now. But it was just but the experience was like none other, and it went on. It felt forever because I think I did it for 4.5 years. Maybe you get a college degree in 4.5 years.
Yeah.
We used to call it the School of Light Finding.
Was it hard at that time for the other 2 Dreamettes to have found such success that they found at the moment? And in some ways, yours didn't follow in television and film at that time. Jennifer Holliday became a very well-known name at that point. Sherry Lee Ralph went off and had her own TV series. here you are, one of the ensemble,
Right.
and yet they seem to run off with the spotlight at that
Well, see,
point.
that was sort of, to me, I was always the invisible person. And I sort of course, in many ways it was devastating because I was the only one that didn't get nominated for a Tony. They all got nominated and I was the only one left out of that. And whenever we would do press, they were interested in the Dina character. They were interested in the Jennifer Howell character. And then they would just skip over me and go to the men. So after a while you sort of feel like, oh God, can you see me?
Yeah. Is there vindication, though, now, how the careers have gone?
Well, I do Diva Simply Sing with Shirley every year. I've been doing it for the past, 10, 15 years. And she always says, you work more than all of us. And it's just the way things turn out. I don't think one thing has anything to do with the other because we're so different. The three of us are so terribly different.
Yeah.
In personage and what our interests are and the things that we love and the things that we bring to the universe is totally different. I think my being able to work is my only gift I can give, Cheryl is politically involved. She's married to a senator now and she does all of these, and her huge cause is HIV and getting the money for her foundation for that. I'm not sure what Jennifer is doing now, but I'm sure she could do just about anything she wanted with the gift that she was just naturally given.
Yeah.
So
after that, now I mentioned this to you right before we started, so I'm going to let them all in on this one. I loved you on Cop Rock. You were one of the jurors. And the reason I bring that up is it's an early television show where they tried to make a musical TV show.
Yeah.
Well, then you look to the future and you've got Boston Public. You've got stuff on Ally McBeal that happened after that. You have, of course, now Glee.
Right.
Do you look at what you did in this earlier stuff, Eli Stone, of course, that led way for a Glee to be there?
Sometimes I look at Glee, I go, what's the difference between Boston Public and that?
Yeah.
It's like an inch or a fraction of a shift, and it's about a public school. I mean, so I wonder what David E. Kelly thinks
Yeah.
about Glee, and because everybody sort of ignored us when we did Boston Public. It was like, we weren't invited to do all. And now these kids they're like they've sold more records than the Beatles, and the program is like #1, all the publicity. It just sort of says everything in time.
Yeah.
Time and placement and when stuff happens is real important. I think we're in such a new age now with the internet and with young people are defining themselves in a totally different way with the texting and the Twitter and the Facebook. So they're making their own heroes. They're declaring what's this, that, and the other. And I think that that's the way it's going to be.
Yeah. The television work, a wonderful body of work there, but I don't want to miss talking about the film work too.
Oh, okay.
And you go into Waiting to Exhale.
Mm-hmm.
Huge success there.
Yeah.
For you, is that the point you think you landed on everyone's radar? Do you think that's what put you there?
I think so. I was so used to being recognized in a small family in New York because Dreamgirls was such a success and it ran so long. So I was used to being recognized to some extent. But when Waiting to Exhale happened, it was just it was frightening in a way where where people would just grab you and give you all this love, whether you wanted it or not. You really have to adjust for that, It's like my space get back. So I think Waiting to Exhale changed tremendously a lot of things.
Did it change how you viewed the business?
I didn't get rich from doing it, and I absolutely thought so many things I've done that I thought you would get rich from. That it's sort of like settled me into. Sometimes I feel like, oh God. The movie's going to be in the theater for a couple of weeks and then you move on, and that's the way I think the public feels. I mean, the public eats things swiftly, and move on. So now a huge movie, unless it's like an Avatar, which has bazillions of dollars in the commercialization of it and the way they sell it, everything comes and swiftly moves on. So, and I think I have to work over double time. Since I'm a character actress and not a lead actress, I don't get paid the millions that the lead actresses get paid, like for Crass, which was a huge hit. I don't think I couldn't cover my mortgage for a whole month with what I made for that, you know. So, and you go, so some things give you fame, other things give you, you know, some money, not as much as you'd like if you were bigger. But yeah, my opinion of things changed because of time, I think.
Okay, here's an elementary school question then, because what you just said. Would you rather have fame or financial success?
I don't know. That's a hard one. I probably would say financial success.
Yeah.
Yeah, instead of fame.
Talk to me a little bit.
Because I guess I have fame.
Yeah. You're sitting here with us, so I think you have fame.
I guess I have fame. I don't know. I mean, I go places and people know me most times.
Talk to me a little about working with David E. Kelley.
Oh, God. I love him so much because he's such a genius to me in that he would write the longest monologues in the history of man. It was such a challenge to do his work and to try to get it perfect. And one of the things I love to do is to please the director. To me, that's so important, is to try to get as close to whatever his vision is of whatever you're doing. And that sort of ensures that you'll work with him again. If he thinks of anything near you, he'll go, oh yeah, she'll do.
Yeah.
And which has been one of the things that I pride myself on in doing my work. And it was just a joy to please him, to give him the colors that he wanted.
What do you think it is in what you do that hooks in with what he does? Because it seems as though he does a project, you're going to always be on the speed dial somewhere.
Oh, no. You think that. I know a lot of people say she's done all these, but I haven't done that many of his things. And I guess that's not true either when I think about it. Yeah, okay, I have done a lot of his stuff. But I don't know the answer to that.
Yeah. There's a certain joy that you bring to every role you're in. Is that something that just naturally comes out of you, or is it something that's in the character you present?
Well, some of the joy is that I'm so happy to be working most of the time. So that glee may just come right across with creating the character. I enjoy doing it so much, and I have so much fun trying to create something different every time I work, although sometimes I'm not as successful as I wish I'd be. But I'm never lazy about it, and I think that may come across more than anything. I always work on it. I always find different ways to manipulate myself into making it the challenge of the moment, you know.
What was it like being on Eli Stone?
I love that show. Greg Berlanti, that's another great writer. I thought he came up with such interesting ideas. I never will understand why that show was canceled. And well, I do. I know they change presidents because sometimes when there are changes up above, it changes everything below. Right. And there was a strike that went on. There were so many things that affected that show's longevity. But we ran for 2 seasons. I just thought that was a wonderful show, and I love the opportunities that I got on there with the being able to sing. I did a little dancing, which I couldn't believe. And my character, she was so sassy and so on point and funny, and all dressed up doing it. Yes. I love that.
You mentioned the dancing. You worked with Bob Fosse, correct, in his last Broadway venture?
Yes, big deal. I did. I got a chance to work with him. Another incredible. I swear, I've worked with the most incredible men. Goward Champion. I worked with him right before he went away. Bob Fosse, Michael Bennett. Those are 3 of the greatest.
Does it surprise you how much of today's generation doesn't know of that rich Broadway history of those great people and what they did?
And the only way they will know it is if we do, like for colored girls, is to represent it, or like with Dream Girls, to represent it. And then you have everybody's new take on it, but sometimes that generates the interest because kids are interesting now. You give them something and they go to the internet and they dig around it until they find everything that they want to know about it, and then they let it go. And so a lot of times they know far more than they'll ever let on that they know. That's what's so interesting about these kids nowadays, because everything is at the tip of their finger. So if you say Bob Fosse, they may go home and look up all this stuff about him and never say anything to you about it. So they know so much. Now,
you mentioned again, we'll go back to Dreamgirls for a minute, because we're now about at the point in your career you do the movie Dreamgirls.
Yeah.
You're the only one of the original ones asked to be in the film.
You know, and in my mind, I thought that the three of us would play the new Dream Girls' mothers or something, or they would see the three of us singing somewhere and could do a scene about that. I don't know what happened. I know Henry Krieger, who also created the music for the show, really wanted me to be a part of it, and he rewrote one of the songs, the song I sung in the show, and it was my joy to do it because I love Henry so.
Is it hard to look at something you spent so much of your life working on being done by a whole different group of people, to see how it changed from what you had?
Yes, it is hard. And the littlest thing can go. You go, oh, they missed that word.
Yeah.
No, that's not. That's not what we said. And but then you have to just let it go because everything just moves on. You know, it's just the nature of everything. I think seeing the new Dream Girl show, and that one, that was really all the changes in the big screen glowing in the back, and it looked like something in Vegas. It was like, oh my God,
Yeah.
what would Michael Bennett think of this? Because it's not him. It's all these other things that are put on it, you know.
But the funny thing is that when he did it, it was as far ahead technically as you could be at that point.
Right.
And so he was really striving. So maybe this is what
The
he
new
would have
stuff,
done had
that's what
he...
I'm saying. Yeah, the new stuff goes as far as everybody's going as far as they can go. But they're not doing it with the thing that they created. They're taking someone else's creation and altering it, opposed to creating something totally new. But then if you don't go and do the other old stuff, how do you remember the history of things? So
I'm talking about recreating what's been there before. It's the whole studio system. It seems as though Tyler Perry now has built this media empire, giving us what we used to have, but with a fresh twist.
yeah, that's what everybody. That's the talk of everybody. I can remember when I first discovered his plays. I absolutely love them because I love to laugh, and they give you so much joy, and the singing is always phenomenal, and you have this feeling of being in the church, but not in the church, because there's this guy in drag who says he's Medea, and he's the funniest thing I've ever seen. So you have all these mixed things going on, and then you're usually in this huge crowd of people watching it that are totally absorbed and enjoy too. And so their belly laughs, their people you're all of a sudden you're best friends with the stranger sitting next to you. So it's such a joyous, wonderful thing, and I think that's why it's so big.
Yeah.
His Medea enterprise, I guess I could say.
Oh yeah, definitely.
It's so huge because of the joy it brings to people that go see it, especially live. And then once the videos are out, if you've seen it, you can just re-see it with your friends and laugh at home. It's just a wonderful thing.
It's funny we talk about them in that regard, but then you've also got For Color Girls.
Yes.
Not a laugh riot by any stretch. Very serious, very moving film.
My first time working with him is when I worked with him For Color Girls. And so I was scared to death because I had been like a groupie of his without him knowing it. I had gone to every play of his I could see and had seen all of his stuff. And everybody's very critical of his type of comedy because it's broad and it is about another period. Put into now and done in a mixture of ways. So I wasn't sure of how everything would work. But then I had such a great experience and such a good time working with him.
Was it that it was just a wonderful ensemble of performers, or is it that he was able to bring something unique out of each of you? Because it is a standout group of performers doing amazing work in this film.
Well, it's incredible group of women, but we rarely were on each other's set. And by what I mean is, like, usually when I worked, if it was Janet and I maybe, or one or two different.
Janet Jackson, for
Janet
people
Jackson.
following at home.
Okay,
Yeah.
Janet Jackson.
We're not all that
And
close to her as you are.
Would have a scene, and then you wouldn't see all the other women.
Right.
Tyler has this incredible energy. I can't explain it, but it's that sort of thing that went on when I worked with Forrest Whitaker in Waiting to Exhale, because Forrest Whitaker was a very quiet man, so he would come into the room, and I would go, shh, shh, Forrest is here. And would go, what? Forrest is here. And all the women would quiet all the other women down because Forrest Whitaker, he had come into the room and we were getting ready to do this thing. And he was very softly said, okay, now in this scene, we're going to do blah, 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 blah. And we would all lean in and listen and go, okay. Now, Tyler, he's gorgeous, first of all. Big strapping, all these things help. Help when you're working to have this gorgeous man, and you don't really know whether he's going to be moody that day or whether he really likes you. So that whole thing for me to please is very important. But he was very interesting to work with. He was a fast worker because sometimes you work with directors and they do things over and over and over, and you go, what do they want? That wasn't his style at all. He was very trusting of the actress. You would bring your idea, and then he would go, do you want another take? That's what you got? You're going to give me? Sometimes he would do that with you. Or you would just see the tip of his lip go up like he was about to smile. You go, that was it. It was that kind of feeling. But he's very powerful in the way he directs you and the way he gets things done.
Well, all I can say now is we are out of time, and you always make the corners of our mouths go up a little bit. We want to smile. Thank you so much for all you've done and all the work still to come.
Thank you so much. So nice to meet you.
Loretta Devine.
To order a DVD of this or any episode of InnerVIEWS, please visit HoustonPBS.org.